It's Friday, November 26, 2010. I'm Kevin McShann, and this is the McShann Sports Beat Report. The art of a compromise occurs when you have two parties attempting to achieve one common goal. However, you often have two different philosophies on how to get the job done. For the National Football League, it may appear that they're making progress and headway in their ongoing labor dispute with their Players Association. There may be a light at the end of this tunnel to ensure that we play football in 2011. The ray of sunshine in the collective bargaining agreement talks occurred on Monday when the league and its Players Association met in New York for several hours to begin hammering out and discussing the finer details of a proposal known as 18-2, which would add 2 regular season games to the current 16-game format while eliminating 2 preseason games from the current 4-game preseason format. Present at this ever-so-crucial meeting included NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, the Executive Director of the Players Association, DeMaurice Smith, the President of the Players Association, Kevin Mawae, Executive Committee Member of the Players Association, Domonique Foxworth, Player Advocate Ernie Conwell, and Player Representative Pete Kendall. Other attendees included Cleveland Browns President Mike Holmgren, Atlanta Falcons President Rich McKay, and Indianapolis Colts President Bill Polian. NFL Network's Jason Lockenfora, who first reported this story on Wednesday, provides a status update on where negotiations stand at this point between the two sides and why there's such a push on the league side of the ledger to make this proposal into a reality.
At this point, none of these proposals deal with anything other than an 18-game regular season and 2 preseason games. All of the CBA talks, all of this minutia is tied to this element. So by no means do I see them doing a deal that doesn't include an 18-game season. I don't want to call it a fait accompli, but it is in essence a fait accompli. Now, there's myriad issues surrounding that still need to be worked out. A lot of them will relate to the offseason. I reported a few weeks back that the union in its proposals doesn't want any offseason activities to begin until about June 15th. That idea was picked up on again on Monday during this several hours of negotiating between the union and the league. Again, Commissioner Goodell was there, D. Smith of the union, various other league and union officials, and the sense was that there was some progress in regards to restructuring the offseason, cutting down on OTAs, reworking practices, also that player health can be paramount as we expand the regular season by 2 games.
Well, it sounds like there's some civility here, which is not always the case when you get these high-profile negotiations. But when you look at the 18-game schedule, compared to some of the other issues? Is the money situation still the 500-pound gorilla in the room?
There's still so much that needs to be done in terms of a rookie wage scale, the overall salary cap, how much of funds will be directed to player cost, what that percentage will be. There's a lot to be done. But again, the fact that during this time where, again, the rhetoric had been ratcheted up, things had gotten really sour, they hadn't had a productive meeting in a while. This meeting, I'm told, came together somewhat quickly. As of a week ago, it really still wasn't fully planned for. So under those circumstances, for all these individuals to get in a room for 3-4 hours in New York City and come out of it feeling like, you know what, we maybe took 2 steps forward without taking one back, that's positive. And they're going to have to now increase the momentum here. They're going to have to meet more regularly. And I think that may be one development we see coming out of this positive meeting, is that instead of just scheduling a meeting once a month, we may have 2 a month, and they may go more than 2 hours. Maybe they go 4 or 5 hours. So ultimately, we get a deal done where both sides are sequestered in a hotel for 5-6 days, hammering this out full time, full scale.
Now, judging from what you've reported and also what you wrote, it seems as if the players are resigned to the 18-game season, and now they're just trying to sort of limit their exposure to injury that an 18-game season would sort of foster. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, resign may be a strong word, but that verb, but then again, maybe it's not. But that is sort of the feeling that this is going to happen. There's such a push for this to happen. And frankly, when you parse out the current CBA, it already allows for an expansion of regular season games this way. So it's not a far-fetched idea. In fact, it's going to be reality. But any negotiation is a series of trade-offs. There's going to be things that the union wants. There's going to be things that the league wants. And you have to compromise on each and every issue until you're comfortable with a document you can sign and bind yourself to for 4, 5, 6 years into the future. And again, yes, will all of this ultimately revolve around an 18-game regular season? Yeah. I can't imagine a CBA that doesn't include it.
Commissioner Goodell, who has been a strong supporter of the 18-game initiative, says that there are 2 central concerns on his mind and the mind of the owners before any expansion of the NFL's regular season can gain his final seal of approval.
All of the questions and almost all of the discussion was focused on how do we do it in a way that's fan-friendly? How does it make sense for our fans? As we've all said, and the clubs have gotten the same reaction, fans want less preseason and more regular season, but we want to understand the impact of whether we're playing cold weather games in January or playing hot weather games in early September. Those are all issues that we want to continue to focus on and talk with all of our partners, the players, of course, our business partners. But most importantly, how do we keep the game strong, which is good for our fans and what we want for our fans? Well, as you know, in the collective bargaining agreement, we have the right to go to 22 games. The ownership doesn't think that's the right step to take. And we want to do this the right way. And we want to do it the right way and make it good for everyone, including the players, our fans, and the game in general. So from our standpoint, we think we've moved this concept along. There's a tremendous amount of momentum for it. We think it's the right step to take, but we want to do that with our partners, including the players. I look at this as an opportunity to create an agreement that's going to be good for the players, good for the game, and take our league to another level. And there are lots of opportunities to do that. And that's what we have to sit down at the table and get that agreement so that we can all move on and continue to provide the kind of game our fans expect.
Baltimore Ravens defensive cornerstone linebacker Ray Lewis, who has been a strong advocate against implementing an 18-game schedule, says if the NFL goes ahead with their proposal for an 18-game season, then that would be the wrong thing to do.
Have you ever considered what it would be like to have 2 preseason games instead of 4, maybe in the future somewhere, how that would affect players?
I think I've considered not having no preseason games. I haven't, the 2, really just came up, with the 18-game schedule and things like that. But the bottom line is, I just think you lose, a lot. You lose a lot in the preseason, because this game doesn't slow down, and just to defend the players, you're paying for, 85% reducing your freaking salaries, but it's still live. It's still full speed. And you watch all of these guys that get hurt. You watch all of these guys that don't even start the season, making their paychecks like that. So things like that, man. I just think, more players, really need to speak up more about it, because it's just a bad deal. It's a bad deal to go out there in preseason and, just risk everything and don't even have nothing guaranteed. So the bottom line is, whatever they fix it and just keep moving. The bottom line is, man, 18 games. 16 games are enough. I mean, you're talking to somebody who's played the business for 15 years, and the things that have to go into just keeping your body. We're not automobiles. We're not machines. We're humans. So, after the first 3-4 months, your body feels a certain way. I don't care what type of shape you're in. I don't care what you try to do, treatment-wise. And you get to a certain point when you get to week 15 to 16, you're saying, okay, I got to get my mindset for the playoffs. But then now you're talking about at 18 games. 18 games, you got to ask yourself, how many people are truly healthy in 18 games? So will you get your true football? Will you get the real football? Yeah, you're going to get the football of who's ever protected. But like I said, I just think it's a lot of football. And I think if fans understood what we actually go through to play in December and January, I think a lot of more people will fight with us that, it's not. I don't think it's knowledgeable to make us play 18 games.
Well, I'm openly willing to admit that watching NFL preseason football is about as mind-numbing of an exercise as we have in all of professional sports. And yes, just like you, the more tangibly relevant football I can get my hands on, the happier I am. With that being said, one issue has to remain at the very core of this discussion: the overall health, safety, and welfare of the players, because, after all, they are the engine or the cash cow that make this league run. With all that in mind, we also must be cognizant of the fact that a player's body can only take so much physical, emotional, and mental pounding at one time. There has to be several issues that are placed on the table before we can explore expanding the regular season from 16 to 18 games, many of which I'm sure have already been debated and discussed ad nauseum, such as with every rep a player takes in practice, an OTA, or a game day scenario. It's one less rep he'll have to take during the course of his career. What about the changes in body temperature a player's body goes through when playing in hot versus cold weather games, and not to mention the workout and treatment regimen players go throughout the course of the season in order to stay upright for all 16 games. So as we can see, this issue is clearly not cut and dry, and several factors still need to be worked out before we can call this one a fait complete. So now, both sides have to roll up their sleeves and get this deal done, because after all, it takes two to tango. Kevin McShann, Sports Beat, reports.